Mark, of course, talks about how he basically built the drive there. Lane Carroll did. So.
It's all about you. 3 points for yourself, right?
Yeah. Set myself up for it.
If there was a fantasy team, he would be the number one pick, I think, every year with the field goals. Yeah, Mark would draft you. How do you feel like the game of soccer has attributed to your football game? And we're not going to talk about kicking, but everything else but kicking.
Yeah, well, soccer players aren't notoriously strong in that aspect, so I decided to make my game all about speed. And so I feel like that's been paid off well, being an outside receiver as I am, and trying to base all my route runnings on speed necessarily.
What about the hands? Where you don't have to use that in soccer, so how did those come along?
I don't know where those came from, honestly. I came out, and they started throwing balls at me, and I started catching them like, hey, wide receiver. So I'll try it.
Speed and hands, that's all you got to have.
Yeah.
A little bit of brain.
Just a little bit of brain. So your two field goals were the only points we had in the first quarter against Chilhowie. How do you deal with the pressure of being the guy to put it through the uprights consistently?
Yeah, we were talking about this over there at the table. Coach Ambergy, every time he brings us into a huddle, every time he talks to us, he always says, hey, we got 3 points in our back pocket if we don't get this. We have 3 points in our back pocket if we don't get this, even if we're inside the 40. So he's expecting me to kick him at range. But luckily we got most of our third down conversions at Chilhowie. But getting those 6 points for the team, even though we were down by 1 point, it's still nice because I know that we can score touchdowns, and we just got to get our jitters out a little bit. So,
well, hey, you all are doing a pretty good job of that, outscoring opponents in the first half. So,
yeah, that really kept things on track too in the first quarter of that game. Chilhowie, of course, led 7-3, and then you made another field goal, cut it back to a 1-point game. So, really kept us in the game there early in that homecoming win over the Warriors. The last few games, we've seen some long makes. We've seen 2 40-plus yarders, at least by my calculations, and I don't really take a lot of math classes at Emory and Henry, so I haven't done a whole lot, but I leave that up to Mark. What is the longest you can make consistently in practice? I know that's what we'd like to hear about. What's your max?
During practice, usually I start from PAT range, and then I just start scooting back 5 yards, move from hash to hash, and then right at the end, I'm like, hey, let's scoot back to 55, put it right in the middle, and then I hit most of them. Sometimes underhit a couple of them, but 45 is mainly my consistent. Haven't tried a 50 yet. We have to do that next week.
If we get Mark down there to hold it for you, maybe.
I don't think you want me to be your holder. So when did you realize that you could kick a football like that?
Well, my sophomore year, I actually did kick for JV. I didn't get any reps at varsity because we had a really, really good kicker, and he was also a star soccer player too. So all the football players got him out there. It was like, hey, come kick a football. And then he was hitting 40-yarders, 45, and they're like, I wonder if Lane can kick a football too. So they got me out there, started kicking field goals, and they're like, come out and play. So I decided to, and my sophomore year, me and Jake Fairley, we kicked for JV.
So do you have any pre-kick routine?
Not really. Really, it's just muscle memory now. Everything I do in the game is exactly how I do it during practice. Just 3 steps back, 2 steps across, eye on the ball, head down, and then just follow through with my kick. It's all just muscle memory now.
Just finishing the drill.
Yeah, just try not to make my knees shake. It gets kind of nerve-wracking whenever it's a tight game and all the eyes are on me.
You've worked out pretty good with it so far. And here's a really important question. Some kickers, opt to wear the kicking cleat on one shoe and wear a regular cleat on the other. What do you do? Do you wear the kicking cleat, or what do you go with?
I wear soccer cleats. I like the way they fit, and they're really light too compared to football cleats. So it also helps me out with wide receiver wise. Not the best ankle support, but it's also the thing that with soccer cleats. It doesn't have a toe stud, but I still think I like it better, and it helps me kick. Kick way more.
Have you always all year never had a thought about getting just a plain kicking cleat with a football cleat?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but start of the season, I was like, should I get one of each, or should I? Because I have many soccer cleats at home. I decided that I just got a pair of soccer cleats, and I was just going to stick with that.
I like it. So as a wide receiver, you have a quarterback in Jamie Lathrop who just kind of chucks it around to whoever's open. How fun is that for you guys, and how quick did you catch on the route running in this system?
Yeah, it's awesome. We have a brotherhood in our spread system. We have 4 great receivers and even some amazing backups. And then Jamie, he can throw dimes all day during practice and stuff. And it's awesome having a brotherhood like that on the team. And it's just great. He puts it right on the money every single time during practice.
So
Bearcat fans, following every Virginia High School home football game, visit Shoney's at Exit 5 for the world-famous breakfast bar. Serving until midnight, Shoney's is a proud sponsor of Bearcat Athletics.
Welcome back to the Bearcat Halftime Report. We welcome you into the booth. 13-7 at the half. Abingdon leading it. Let's take a look at some of the stats in this one. Your first half summary. Early in the ball game, Virginia High took the lead. They drove straight down the field and right down the throat, ran it all the way down the field, and got a touchdown score out of Aaron Rose from 5 yards out for the touchdown. Took a 7-0 lead, went scoreless the whole rest of the first quarter. Abingdon will open up the scoring in the second quarter. A 22-yard touchdown run from Pierre Jordan to tie the game at 7-7. Abingdon would score on an 11-yard TD run. This time Lance Willis on a reverse, but they missed the extra point, and that's where we sit. 13-7, the score. Abingdon out in front. Again, a battle between these one-loss teams. A fun afternoon, and it's really living up to the billing so far this Friday night here in Southwest Virginia. Some of your stats from the first half. Virginia High, 102 yards rushing, 13 pass attempts, 7 of those completed for 70 yards. Total yards, 172 yards for the Cats. Penalties, the big number, 7 penalties for 60 yards for Virginia High. For Abingdon, the total stats, they went for 197 total yards, all of those rushing yards. They passed one time, and it was intercepted by Torian Bazell down here to near the end of the half. Of course, Virginia High threw a pick, too. Of course, it was on a little late heave there before the halftime intermission. Some of your other more in-depth stats, Abingdon just one penalty there in the first half of football. One penalty for 15 yards. So right now, Mark, penalties are a huge factor.
Yeah. Honestly, what it boiled down to is us 7 penalties for 60 yards. It's turned the offense off. I mean, the offense is averaging close to 5 yards a play, but the problem is whenever you're 1st and 20, it's hard to get that back. Even on 3 plays, you're looking at 4th and 5, and you have to punt the ball away on that in the situations we're in. And then on the defensive side of the ball, biggest play we had was the face mask for us. You had them stopped. It's going to be like a 3rd and 6, potentially a big play for us to get the ball back. Instead, it turns into a first down and later a touchdown for the Abingdon offense. And special teams is usually one of our fortes. Tonight, just a couple miscues on that regard has really just put us in a hole. But a very manageable hole with that, being down 6 points at the half.
Yeah, for all the mistakes Virginia has had, I think Coach Chris at the half's happy with it. Of course, we'll get to
I don't think happy is the word.
Well, not happy with it, but, I mean, you have to be
content
with what's happened there. It could have been disastrous first half. Again, later on we'll get to your impression of what you think each coach is saying at the half. But going more in-depth for the rushing stats, Virginia High, Jamie Lathrop, 7 rushes, 47 yards. Aaron Rose, 4 carries for 19 yards. Michael Howard, 5 carries, 31 yards. For Abingdon, it's been the Pierre Jordan show. 10 carries, 89 yards. That's 8.9 yards a carry. And he scored a touchdown at that. And also Gabe Booth, the quarterback, he's ran it 3 times for 64 yards. Of course, the biggest being the 50-some-odd yard run there before the half that ended up being a huge play for him.
And basically what that was a broken pass play that nobody stayed home on the opposite side of, and he just found some green grass and went where it was.
And those are some of the stats. The first downs, both teams split with 8 first downs apiece. Let's look at the time of possession real quick. Virginia High had the ball for 12 minutes and 27 seconds. Abingdon for 11 and a half minutes. So pretty evenly split there. Latham went 7 for 11 passing for 60 yards, and again the interception. He carried it 7 times for 48 yards. Bobby Medley, 3 receptions for 24 yards. So those are some of your stats. We thank Brady Malone and Nate Graybill for helping us out up here with the stats. We couldn't have so many good stats without those guys, and they keep us going.
I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah, Mark had to tote the load last week, so it's definitely nice to have those in-depth stats. So we thank them tremendously for what they were able to do right there. And let's look at some of the conversions here. 20% conversion rate for Virginia High, and for Abingdon a 50% conversion rate. So it's amazing that Virginia High's that off schedule, but only down by 6 on the scoreboard. So things are staying tight in this one. Game trends, we got to buck those turnovers. Also, got to continue to be able to run the football. And Virginia High was able to run the ball really well on that first drive, on a 60-yard drive. Only had to throw it one time, and that was Bobby Medley on the reception. And, Mark, let's go into it now. Adjustments that need to be made for each team at the half. Let's start with Virginia High, the road team.
Virginia High, I mean, really, the only bad thing that's happened tonight for this team has been the penalties, Dylan. I mean, you're going to have to sit here and accept some of the runs that they have, and that's just part of the triple option or the wing T option they run. But penalties are all on you. You can't blame that on anybody but yourself in that situation. And putting the offense behind schedule, the offense done a great job. It's just Abingdon's defensive line is in our face. You have to expect less penalties in the second half for this team to be successful.
This has been a great series, split 9 for 9 in the last 18 years of football. They've played 18 consecutive years, and this, of course, basically been the tiebreaker. Abingdon's won the last 3. Previous to that, Abingdon had lost the 3 before that, so Virginia High had won 3. Now Abingdon's won 3. Virginia High trying to return the favor tonight as they trail by 6 points, and Abingdon, so far, the rushing attack has been there over close to 200 yards in total offense, 191 on the ground, and they're averaging 311 yards a game in that category, so they're right on schedule if you're the Falcons.
You know, we talked about throughout the whole course of the week of how close this series was, and that this is the deciding game to whoever's going to be up in this series, and you have to admit both of these teams want that tiebreaker, and that's exactly what it feels like tonight at here in Abingdon.
And let's take a look at the Southwest District scoreboard, and we go a little bit further, too, from the Southwest District. We only have 3 games to go around the district. We have 2 district matchups. Marion up on Gate City at the half, 24-7. Richlands and Tazewell, the second matchup in the Southwest District, 7-0. Richlands out in front. That's kind of surprising. Tazewell, not the strongest of teams, definitely not the deepest. As far as depth-wise, they only have 18 players, so they're hanging with Richlands in that backyard brawl this afternoon. And Graham up 41-0 on Lebanon, so yeah, another one there in the second quarter of that one. And now some other scores around Southwest Virginia. Battle up 27-0 on Wise Central, and Tennessee High, they're having homecoming tonight over there at the Castle. 14-3, they're leading against Cock County at the end of the first quarter. So those are some of your scores from around the area. We're going to take a quick commercial break as the band's playing down on the field. We'll have second half of football coming up next. We'll get back to Mark for a couple of more adjustments and what to expect in the second half after this break. 13-7 as we continue halftime from Abingdon High School.
Bearcat Radio is brought to you by State Line Motors. Visit State Line Motors on Euclid Avenue in Bristol.
Hi, I'm Dustin Lynch. You don't have to listen to country music to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you just can't control, like your girlfriend running out on you with your best friend. But there's some drama that you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you and start moving towards a brighter future and even your college degree.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
You're listening to Virginia High Bearcat football on Spreaker Radio. Follow Bearcat Radio on Twitter with the handle @VHS Bearcat Radio and on Facebook by searching Bearcat Radio for the upcoming broadcast schedule and shows on the flagship stream of Virginia High School athletics.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Bearcat halftime report as both teams back out on the field stretching. It's 13-7, Abingdon out in front, and